Alright folks, this is Dr. McDonald. Let's go ahead and start on the very first lab thing we have. If you notice on your syllabus on the schedule, the first thing we're going to talk about is orientation and lab safety. Granted, since we're not going to be actually in the classroom, some of this is not going to be directly applicable to this semester, but the lab safety is going to be the same pretty much well through anatomy and physiology 2, as well as a micro lab, although with some additions. So let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, as far as lab time, it's not exactly the same as a face-to-face class, but it's also a good idea to use your time wisely. This is without a doubt the most important thing that you're going to have to focus on. The lab list is going to give you the possible answers to every quiz and every exam. Those are the things that we're going to ask about. Let's see if we have anything in here. None of the rest of this is really applicable. We will talk about the lab safety in this as well, and that is something that we're going to have a quiz on. As a matter of fact, it's your no-show quiz. But use your time wisely, especially those times that I have set aside for you all to ask questions. That's going to be very crucial. I would definitely attend at least one of those if I could and make sure that I had my understanding exactly right. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. And again, these are pretty much all going to be the same in all the labs, so these are good things to learn. In the labs, we allow no open-toed shoes. That is, any kind of shoe. And not only am I talking about sandals and flip-flops, but there's a certain type of woman's shoe that is designed like this. And you actually see the tops of the toes. Those are not allowed in the labs either. All of the bags, purses, backpacks, all the stuff that you carry your books and so forth in, you need to put on a table that we have counters or places like that to set them. Those tabletops in the lab, a lot of times those are used to cut up our dissections, dead animals. You really don't want to put your stuff on top of those. Now, I'm sure that those tabletops are clean, but I wouldn't even risk it. We allow no food and drink on the labs at all for any reason, not even water. I know, I love water, but I don't even bring water in there. The only thing on the tabletops are your lab books, notebooks, and the lab list. That's all that should be on the table. Our models have been abused by countless numbers of students, and they're very expensive, so we ask people to please treat them gently. Now, when we point at things and structures on these models, we do not use a pencil or a pen. Those are no-nos. We've actually got wooden sticks. Basically what they are is just kebab skewers that we have in there, especially for you all to use to point to. That is what those bamboo skewers are to be used and nothing else. We try to ask folks, don't stack models on top of each other. Try to, again, treat them gently. They're very expensive. They should be treated gently. When the models are capable of being taken apart, we ask you to put all the pieces back before you put it back in the cabinet or on the shelf or wherever it goes. And of course, if a model is broken or in any way defective, then just tell your instructor. Microscopes. See if I can draw a microscope here. Well, not a good one, but it'll do. When we carry a microscope, we put one hand right here and we put one hand underneath the bottom of the microscope. That's the proper way to carry. These microscopes cost a lot of money as well, and you don't really want to be reimbursing the state for one of those. I'm sure none of us have that excess of money in our accounts. If you can't focus your microscope, what you do is go back down to the lowest setting and then try again. And if that doesn't work, then you notify me or any other instructor, whichever lab you're in. I'll tell you how to focus a microscope. We've got a lab coming up on that. They're just telling you if you have difficulty, then start over again. And if it doesn't work the second time, then notify your instructor. If your microscope won't turn on, and basically that's just a little light here. So these guys are plugged into the wall, and you got a rocker switch that you move. If you can't get the light on, then the microscope's not going to work. You need to inform the instructor. The light wheels, again, it's kind of difficult to be telling you about all this before we talk about the microscope structure. But there's a wheel that actually is like a dimmer. It will dim the intensity of the light. When you turn the microscope off, please make sure you turn it all the way down, because if you don't and someone doesn't check and they just flip it on, you get this big glare of light, can hurt their eyes temporarily. You also turn the microscope. Try to do this, guys. This is this piece right here. There are 4 of these, and the higher the power, the longer these guys get. So when they actually tell you to turn it to the lowest objective, they're actually talking about the shortest one. Most microscopes, that's got a little red band on it. Okay, next slide. Personal protection, that's kind of goes without saying. Any lab that uses especially Bunsen burners, if you've got long hair, tie it back. That's male or female. Gloves, all the labs have gloves, and we also provide safety goggles, and you definitely want to wear those during dissections. Hazardous chemicals, again with the dissections, these guys use something called perfect solution. It's not the formalin that they normally use, it's some sort of chemical that basically does the same thing, preserves the tissues, and independent labs, safe and non-toxic. Nonetheless, I would wear gloves, and I would definitely not get it in my eyes. And if I got it on any part of my arm or anything, if I was wearing short sleeves, I would definitely wash it off. Broken glass. Every lab can have this, mostly in the form of slides. The microscope isn't used properly, the slides will get broken. If the slide is broken, then you need to inform the instructor immediately. Generally, I pick it up, and we've got a sharps container, which basically is a wooden cardboard box, like so, with a hole in the top. Of course, the glass doesn't need to be wet going in there because cardboard. But we never, ever, ever throw broken glass in the garbage can, because those bags are going to be picked up by our housekeeping staff, and there's potential for them to get hurt with it. And in some of the labs, such as the micro lab, we have bacteria on those slides. You can see that would be a problem. So we have a special place for broken glass. But the thing you need to do is just inform your instructor before you do anything else. Accidents, we've got first aid kits in the labs, all the labs. This is the first and most important thing you can do, is let your instructor know. Be careful. Common sense is vastly underrated. If the accident or if the injury is serious, we'll fill out an accident form, but any kind of injury needs to be reported. If you break a glass slide and just prick your finger, that needs to be reported to your instructor. On the cleanup after we're finished, the microscopes, the slides, models, this is important. We are paid by the state to be your instructors, not to be your maids. So you need to put your stuff up. You need to clean up after yourself at the end of the labs. You need to scoot your chairs under the lab tables. And many times students will use the little adhesive dots and put them on posters or put them on models to help them study. And that's perfectly fine, but you need to take them off after you're finished. All of this is basically just common sense. But if you have any questions about any kind of safety issues, please talk to your instructor. Okay, guys, that's got it for the lab introduction and for the safety. We didn't do a lot in the introduction, but since the lab is going to mostly be online, it's basically going to be, I'm going to give you these PowerPoints. I'm going to make sure you have the diagrams or photographs of all the models, and you got the lab list. The lab is memorization, so that's all you really need. Okay, guys, I'll see you in the next lab.